Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Audrey, author of The Mission Driven Life and founder of The Mission Driven Mom. I'm so excited for you to join me today as we talk about dreading the holidays. So, to all you moms who are really not looking forward to it and having a struggle with that, I read this statistic the other day. 80% of millennial moms are overwhelmed by the mental load of the Christmas holidays, and 65% are feeling pressured for perfect celebrations. And when I saw those statistics, I just knew that we needed to talk about this for a few minutes today. So, if the holidays are a stressful time of year for you, take heart. What you may not realize is that you're actually stressed for specific reasons and that there are ways that you can manage that stress much better. So by the time we get to the end of this podcast, you will have a more clear understanding of exactly why you're stressed, why you're dreading the holidays, and some simple tools for managing that much better and making the holidays a much more joyful experience for you and your family. Now, first of all, why do you dread the holidays? I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but I have a recurring nightmare. And the nightmare goes something like this. It's Christmas Eve, and I just realized that it's Christmas Eve, and I have no gifts for anybody. And I don't know what to do about this. I don't know. I don't have any money. I don't have any gifts, and I don't know what to do. And so I frantically run to the thrift store. That's always my go-to in my dreams. And I get a cart and I start just loading things into the cart to try to get people on my list some Christmas presents, especially for my kids. Now, I don't know exactly why this is a recurring nightmare for me, but when I get really stressed, this is something that I often dream. And it's funny, but it also expresses that I feel like so many of you do, and the holidays can be unbelievably stressful, and we dread them for many different reasons. So let's talk about some statistics. We mentioned that 80% of millennial moms are feeling overwhelmed by the mental load, 65% reported feeling pressured, and twice as many moms as dads feel the load. They feel stressed about the shopping, the family gatherings, the finances, keeping everybody healthy, and this kind of really weird, ethereal expectation to create a magical Christmas, to build perfect memories. In fact, a study from the American Heart Association found that 79% of people overlook their health, and more than a quarter of moms say that it takes a month or more to recover from their holiday stress. Okay, this is bleak. This is no bueno. We do not want this. So there's basically three reasons why you would feel stressed about the holidays, why you would be dreading them. And we're going to go through each one of these. And you can, as I'm talking about them, I want you to self-identify. You might feel stressed about all three. You might just identify with one or the other. And for everyone, I'm going to give you a tool that you can use to manage that stressor that you're having. The first one is setting unrealistic expectations. We're going to talk about this more in a minute. You can just imagine what it is, but I'm take you through a little activity that's going to help you. This is a big reason that we feel unhappy going into the holidays because we just think we have to show up for everybody else and we have to make everything magical and perfect. And we have these super high expectations. And I think we know deep down inside that we're just never going to meet those expectations, but we don't really know what to do about that. The second reason that you would feel stressed at the holidays is that you feel responsible for everything and the pressure is immense. So you feel like it's all up to you. You're going to be the one that everyone's finger is pointing out if Christmas isn't perfect. And so you feel really just dreading not making it perfect and someone complaining and you giving your all and it not being enough for somebody. And the third reason why you might dread the holidays is that you're just worried. You're worried about the money, the gifts, the parties, seeing people that you don't want to see, helping everybody get along, These are all big reasons to dread the holidays, even though it's supposed to be this wonderful, beautiful time, and it can be. Okay, so let's talk first about these unrealistic expectations. And when I was a little girl, I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I wanted an easy bake oven so badly one year. And I begged and begged and begged for this easy bake oven. And literally, the only thing I remember about that Christmas is that I got an easy bake oven. And the ingredients came in these little box sets, and the dish was like just this tiny little thing, and you would mix it up with water. It's basically just sugar and flour, I'm sure. And there were a couple different flavors, I think. And you mixed them up and you poured them in the little pan and you put them in your little oven. And I think I baked all of them on Christmas Day and we ate them all up and it was great. And frankly, I don't know. I think I got a replenishment of those once or twice. I don't even know how much I used the Easy Bake Oven, but I got my Easy Bake Oven and it was great. Another year, I really, really wanted a little gumball dispenser. I wanted my own gumball machine. I mean, just think if you could eat all the gumballs you ever wanted to eat. And of course, I also remember we had a tradition that I carried into my family and now we're still doing it, that we would get robes and towels and other things like that from around the house and we would read from the Bible and act out the nativity story. And when as soon as we got video cameras, when those started to be a thing, because we didn't have one when I was really young, and then we did, and we would videotape it. And now, of course, today we can record it and watch it immediately and laugh at ourselves and have a good time. I remember dinners with family. I remember putting up the tree. Our tradition was to go get a real tree. I loved picking it out. We sometimes strung popcorn. We sometimes put on icicles. Just really fun times. I remember the Christmas music playing. Every year we watched Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, and being out of school and being able to sleep in. Those are all my memories of Christmas. And so when you're trying to deal with the stress and the overwhelm and the dread of unmet expectations, of unrealistic expectations, I want you to do this. I want you to take a minute. You can do this right now. And I want you to do what I just did. I want you to think about your favorite gifts that you received as a child, your favorite activities that you did with your family, and the time that you spent with loved ones. And my guess is that your experience is going to be pretty similar to mine. You're not going to remember every Christmas, and you're not going to remember most of the gifts that you received. There's just like a feeling of music playing and lights going up and being out of school and being with your family and looking forward to things, maybe a Christmas party that you always had. And you know what? It's so important to remember it wasn't complicated. You probably don't remember very many details. You probably remember the feelings, a handful of key memories, the time together, the way that you felt, and a few gifts. And the reason this matters so much is because we as moms are really just trying to make something special for our families. Now, the parties are fun, the extended family dinners are fun, and sometimes we have to host those and it's a bit of work. But really, it's just that we want our children to have a good experience. And frankly, there were plenty of Christmases when my kids were really little that they loved the boxes that the toys came in. They would make them into forts and they would color on them and they would play hide and seek in them. Small children, especially, are easy to please. Now, maybe you have teenagers and it's more complicated. I get it. But the point here being, you're just trying to please a few people. You're trying to give them traditions and memorable experiences, and it can be simple. You want to have a happy Christmas. You want your children and your husband to have a happy Christmas. And that's really all that matters. And it's not complicated. They're not going to remember most of the gifts that they got, and they're not going to remember most of the things that you do. They're going to remember you being with them. They're going to remember a good feeling in the home. They're going to remember the smells. They're going to remember baking with you, cooking Christmas dinner with you. They're going to remember laughing. They're going to remember putting up the tree and putting the lights on it. They're going to remember little movies that you watch or other little traditions that you have. That's it. And frankly, you can pull that off in a pretty short period of time. You can get each child a few simple things, maybe one thing that they really, really want. You can put on some simple traditions the day of. You can bake some cookies 1 or 2 nights and carol at the neighbor's home. It can be so simple. It does not have to be complicated. And every time you start to overcomplicate it and you think that the decor has to be perfect and the food has to be perfect and you have to make everybody happy and you have to solve all the problems, I want you to remember your own childhood. And I want you to think about what you remember and try to pass that on to your children. And keep it very simple and remember that all of that is enough. Okay, now what do you do if you're feeling responsible for everything? You're dreading Christmas because you feel responsible, like you have to do it all. What you're going to remember is that you can't. And that no one expects you to. And if they expect you to, you can kindly tell them they're wrong. You're not responsible for everything. And I think one of the things, if you'll remember your own childhood experience and you'll take this next tip that I'm going to give you, it's going to help you be more centered and it's going to help you see everything in a little more balanced way. Because one of the things that we do is we don't have unrealistic expectations, and then we think we're responsible for all of the expectations, and then we don't take care of ourselves. And so we're going to reverse that this Christmas, this holiday season. We're going to lead by having simpler, clearer expectations that are more realistic, that match the kinds of memories you have from your childhood that you want to pass on to your children. And then we're going to take care of ourselves so that when we're tempted to feel responsible for everything and to fix it and make it better for everyone, we don't stress out, we don't get overwhelmed, we don't start crying or yelling because we are taking care of ourselves. The American Psychological Association said that holiday stress has a particular impact on women. Moms take charge of many of the holiday celebrations, particularly the tasks related to preparing meals and decorating the home. And what we want to remember is that if we can show up every day with energy and optimism, if we can be in a good mood and happy and positive, that will make all the difference for us and our families. And I'm going to give you a really simple tool to do that. I'm going to ask you to set aside 10 minutes a day. Now, it would be better if you would do an hour, but you can do this activity in 10 minutes. And if you will do it every day, what that will do is if you'll start your day out by doing this thing I'm going to ask you to do for 10 minutes, it's going to set a new tone. And you're going to be taking care of yourself, which is going to recenter you. And you are going to be making connections and working on gratitude and all these things so that when you come out of your room and when it's time to start working on Christmas, you're going to be in a better place. And when you're in a better place, everything is going to go better. You're going to remember your realistic expectations and you're going to stop taking responsibility for everything because you are going to take care of you first. So I want you to go get this app. And it's called Miracle Morning. Okay. And when you open it up, it's free. It's going to look like this. For those of you watching on YouTube, you can see that. It says Good Miracle Morning, and you can set it to wake you up. And there's 6 activities you're going to do every day, and you can click off that you've done them. The first one is silence. That is some kind of spiritual connection. It is prayer or quiet or meditation, connection with the divine. Now, for Christians, this is going to be a meaningful prayer, but it's going to be some way that you just sit with yourself and you breathe and just be quiet. The next one is what they call affirmations. In the MDM Academy, we call these truth statements, where you're going to remember your realistic expectations, the memories you're trying to build for your children. Remind yourself that you can't do it all and you don't want to and you're not going to, and it's going to be enough for you to give your family a beautiful day, a beautiful experience. And you can write these right in the app and just read them for yourself, or they have generic ones you can use. And you'll just say or read a couple little truth statements for yourself, call them affirmations, and then you're going to visualize. And you're just going to sit with yourself and calmly think about how you want this holiday season to look. You can think about specific events. You can think about Christmas morning. You can see yourself feeling the way that you want to feel. You can imagine yourself having a hard conversation, or just imagine yourself enjoying the Christmas holiday. And then you're going to exercise in some fashion. Then you're going to read something that lifts you, and then you're going to scribe. You're going to write what you're grateful for and just journal for a few minutes. And the reason I said you can do this in 10 minutes is because technically you can actually do it in 6 minutes. You can do each of these for 1 minute. You can do silence for a minute and affirmations for a minute, visualize for a minute, exercise for a minute, read for a minute, and scribe for a minute. 1 minute each, and you'd be done in 6 minutes. Or you can take a little more time with each of these. You take 5 or 10 minutes each, and sure enough, you've spent an hour and you're really renewed. You have imagined the kind of holiday season that you want to have. You have told yourself the truth about who you are and what you're creating for your family. You've done some stretching or walked around the block or gotten on the treadmill for 10 minutes and moved your body and got your energy up and your blood flowing. You've read something that inspires you. This can be scripture, but it can just be any good book that elevates your soul and teaches you truth and makes you feel good. And then you're going to write something, a few things that you're grateful for. Journal about why this day is going to be great, why you're happy to be alive, why you feel grateful for this holiday season, why it's going to be a wonderful one. So that's how you're going to stop being responsible for everything and everyone all the time, because you're going to prepare yourself every morning for a wonderful day by using that Miracle Morning app. And we will have a link for that in the description for you. And just literally take 10 minutes, go into a quiet room, tell everyone to leave you alone, get up early, whatever you have to do it before you go to bed for the next day, whatever. And I promise it will make a huge difference. Now, the last thing that we need to manage in dreading the holidays is feeling worried. I worry about all the things, obviously, because I have recurring nightmares about them. And there have been plenty of years when I was really worried about the finances, and I thought that it had to be perfect, and I thought I had to buy my kids all the perfect gifts and all this kind of thing. And you know what? Most of the time, I could manage to get all of my kids at least one thing that they genuinely wanted. I mean, sometimes it can just be some fish in a fishbowl, and that's like $15, you know? It just can be something really, really simple that would be meaningful for them, that they can look forward to from their Christmas list. So I want to give you one more tool that's going to help you to not worry. Because when we remember that worrying is simply projecting into the future something that we don't want to have happen. It's assuming the worst. It's expecting the worst. It's not helpful because it's really focused on fears. Worries are just fears that we're of future events that haven't even happened that we're bringing into our present moment. And so we're letting the future poison, the future that hasn't even happened, poison the present. And we do not want to do that. We do not want to let the future poison the present. So, what we're going to do instead is we're going to turn every worry into an empowering question. I've talked about this on the podcast before, and in the notes below in the description, I'm going to give you a link to a little mini training. It's just a little audio, it's just a few minutes, and then it's a little worksheet. It's not going to take you very much time, but it'll walk you in more detail through how to use empowering questions in your everyday life and how to use them to stop the worries. So make sure you go grab that mini training. But I'll give you just a glimpse into what it is and why it's so incredibly helpful. So I learned this concept from a book called which you wouldn't think, but it's called The Top 10 Distinctions Between Millionaires and the Middle Class by Keith Cameron Smith. And this is the last distinction. It's the number one way, he says, that the wealthy think differently than other people. And it's the simple idea that they ask themselves empowering questions. But he taught me something really, really important about something Jesus taught. So we know he said over and over again, ask and you shall receive. But what Keith Cameron Smith helped me understand is that because our brains are brilliant problem solving machines, every time we ask ourselves a question, our mind wants to solve the problem. So it gets to work solving the problem, finding the answers to our question. So when we ask, we literally always receive. And when we start to worry and we start to think about future events that we don't want to have happen, and then that turns into negative thoughts, right? And we stew and we let that ruminate in our minds, and we become more negative and we become more fearful and we become more upset. And now suddenly we're taking things out on people before anything has ever even happened. Empowering questions are really simple. They're questions that ask you what you can do. Disempowering questions ask you what you can't do. And empowering questions make you feel good, and disempowering questions make you feel bad. So if you're worrying about something, like maybe you're going to see Uncle Bob and he was really rude to you when you were younger, or maybe somebody, maybe it's worse than that. Maybe somebody betrayed you and you have to have Christmas dinner with them, or whatever the case might be. And so you're just dreading this thing that's going to happen over the holidays, and you're worrying and worrying about it. You're not changing it by worrying about it. And if it's making you feel bad and it's focusing on what you can't control, then you know it's a worry and you need to stop. So how do you stop? You stop by turning the worry into an empowering question. Okay? So if it's Uncle Bob and I'm going to see him at this family get together, then you can start to ask yourself empowering questions about that situation. There's all sorts of them. There's like, you could say to yourself, what could I say to him when I see him? How can I have a conversation that's civil? You could ask yourself, how can I see the good in him and reflect that? You can ask yourself, how can I forgive him and have better feelings towards him? You can ask yourself, how can I have the people around me that love me help and support me in this situation that I'm in with Uncle Bob? And as you sit on these empowering questions that are about what you can control, not what anybody else is going to do, what you can do, your brilliant mind will just start to come up with solutions. And you don't need to worry that you've got to hurry. The minute you ask the question, you need to have an answer. Your brilliant mind will come up with an answer. And this puts you right back into a faithful creator frame of reference. This gets you back into a place where you are in the driver's seat. You can make it be what it needs to be. And if the answer to the question is, I can't go see Uncle Bob, then you make provisions for that to be the case. But this is really what's going to make a huge difference for you. And it's like, as a man thinketh, so is he, we read in the Bible, what you focus on is going to be your result, and what you practice is what you get better at. If you practice at worrying, you will get better at it. If you practice at turning your worries into empowering questions that your brilliant mind will solve, then you will get better at that. And because it's focused on what you can do, and because the question makes you feel good because you feel powerful and in control, and you're focused on solutions and not problems, well, then now you're practicing being a more optimistic individual that's showing up with more positivity for yourself and the people around you. And all of that is good. All of that is what we want, especially at the holidays. We want joyful, happy memories. And, your kids hear you and they feel your vibe, like they feel your energy. They feel when you're stressed or negative or overwhelmed. And we're doing that, moms, to ourselves with our worries, our unrealistic expectations, and feeling responsible for all the things. And it just doesn't have to be that way. So please remember, this is meant to be a happy time. For Christians, this is a celebration that the Savior was born. For others, it's a time to celebrate family and love. It's a time to remember each other by giving each other gifts. It's a time to gather, to eat yummy food, to talk, to laugh, to play games, and to make memories. And so try to focus on these three tools that I've given you. Let's remember to remember our own childhood and keep the experiences for our children simple and fun and uplifting, because it doesn't have to be elaborate. They don't care about all the decorations. They don't care about all the fancy stuff. And they're the ones that really matter the most to us. They're the ones that we're trying to do this for. So bring those traditions forward. Remember to do your miracle morning practice. Every morning, make sure you do those 5. He calls them savers. Make sure that you take time for a prayer and for visualization and for truth statements and for gratitude, a little bit of movement and all of those things that will lift you up and help you show up more optimistically. And then please, in the description, click on the link and grab your mini training and listen to the little audio as many times as you need to. It will lift you up, it will inspire you, it will remind you how you can use empowering questions and the worksheet you can carry around with you and use it ongoing, print it off as many times as you want to help you be able to become someone who's knows better how to manage her mom guilt and stop worrying and be optimistic instead. Now, I'm really excited for next week's episode. We are going to carry this theme into next week, and we're going to finish out the year by diving a little deeper into managing the holiday stress by talking about shame and the role that shame can play in the relationships, in the way we're interacting, in shaming when we shame ourselves and other people shame us. And just it won't be real long, but it'll definitely be something that will help us get recentered on taking proper care of ourselves through the holidays and seeing things more clearly and calling shame out properly and not letting ourselves go down that rabbit hole so that we can have a better holiday season. And then we will take a couple weeks off, and I'm so excited for the new year. I have so many guests I'm reaching out to that I am super excited to bring onto the show. We have some new themes and some really great content that we're gearing up to share with you. It's going to be an incredible year. As you may already know, we have brought back our MDM celebration, which is happening next fall. That's going to be Mothers of Creation. That theme is just, we've all been waiting for it. It's going to be phenomenal. And so 2026 is going to be an incredible year for the Mission Driven Mom in the Academy with our new workshops that we talked about recently with the celebration coming up and all of that good stuff. But stay tuned next week as we spend some time in shame and staying out of that over the holiday season. And if this has been helpful for you, please pass it along. Please leave a review and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time.